So, stanza number 28, 27. The mind holding on to an I. The mind holding on to an I clings to everything. This is the cause of samsara. So as offerings to the exalted in nirvana and charity to the lowly in samsara, give everything, body, positions and virtue, and dedicate the merit to all. Casting all attachments far away, recite the 6-syllable mantra. Now, we talked about the purification and the ignorance. The ignorance, there are different kinds of ignorances. Many different kinds of ignorances. Ignorance of not having all the information, ignorance of not knowing the nature of everything, and there are many different ignorances, but the main the ignorance that creates the samsara or samsaric state of mind state is regarded as the there's a wrong perception of yourself. Our mind has this natural quality of clarity, knowingness. We have this the possibility of all different kind of manifestations, all different kind of experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when I perceive it in a different way, this is the understanding from this point of view, that when I look at this awareness, this clarity, the knowing aspect of my mind, and then when these experiences happen, then I assume there is something behind it, which is the experiencer of that. Something that is the experiencer, which is different or separate from all these arisings. So when I see it like that, or when I perceive it like that, when I assume it like that, then you have created what we call the dualistic state of mind, meaning that there is someone who is experiencing these things, and there is something that I experience. What I experience is something different from what I am as the experiencer. So once that way of seeing, that way of perceiving happens, which actually happens in every moment anyway, then you have created a kind of I, ego, you can call anything, a self, which is not just the changing, flowing thoughts, emotions, sensations, which is happening because of all the causes and conditions. But there is something called me. We experience it before, we experience it now, we will experience it in the future. So you kind of created a very solid experiencer, ego. And once you see it like that, then there is always, everything that I perceive, or everything that I experience, anything that arises in my experience, I look at as, is it good for me or not good for me? Is it nice for me or not nice for me? Is it my friend or my foe? And those things I call, or I project, or I see, I perceive as something nice, and then I must have it, I must hold it on to, I have to hold on to, I need them, if I don't have them, or if I can't keep them, I feel unhappy, I feel sad, I feel bad. And then all those things that I designate as not nice, not good, that I don't want, and then I see them as, as something what I don't want. I fear them, I have aversion to them, I'm afraid of them, I don't want it with me. If I have that, then again I have to run away from them. So because of that, because everything that experience comes up, I see them as either nice, not nice, or neutral. And what is neutral, I don't even I don't care, I ignore. But those, what I see as good, I run after them. See as not good, I run away from them. So I am always either running away from something or running after something, and therefore I am always in tension. And either I am not getting something that I want, or I am getting something, or I'm about to get something that I don't want. So therefore, a constant kind of a fear, constant aversion and attachment, constant kind of a problem. That's the samsara. That's the cause of samsara. So the cause of samsara is actually a wrong view, a misunderstanding. So therefore, the most important thing from Buddhist point of view is to be able to understand, to be able to see clearly that there is nothing there, something called an experiencer, other than all my experiences, which is always, kind of flowing and changing. And there is the awareness. The awareness is not something, awareness or the subtle clarity or awareness or the subtlest nature of mind is not a thing. It doesn't have a shape, it doesn't have a form. It is not something that can be destroyed. It's not something that, something is good for it or something is bad for it. Because of its nature as aware, therefore everything arises out of it, but those arisings means the thoughts, emotions, perceptions, all these things, it doesn't harm or help this anyway. Because there's nothing there to be helped, there's nothing there to be harmed in a sense. It's beyond help and harm, there's only this awareness, there's nothing else. So, therefore, when I understand this, that understanding or experiencing is called knowing the nature of the mind. When one can actually understand this nature of the mind completely and truly and experientially, then of course you have, there's no need, you have completely, no need to run away from anything, there's no need to run after anything, there's no need to be attached to anything, there's no need to be, kind of have aversion to anything. So therefore, aversion, attachment, all these things unnecessary. There's no basis for that. But because of this misunderstanding or wrong way of perception, we always do this. We always run after and run away from things. And so therefore, we are so used to this. This has become our habitual tendency. Always fear comes up, always desire comes up, always, either running after something that we don't have or running away from something we feel is afraid of. And we hold on to things, we hold on to identities, we hold on to, all kind of, things. This is mine, this is theirs, me and others, I and them, all kind of things, my good feeling and my bad feeling and all kind of things. And then, sometimes I cannot even, I am not only attached to good feelings and good things, but I'm also sometimes attached to bad things because I identify with that. So therefore, because I kind of poor me, poor bad me. So therefore, so therefore, that's the samsaric. That's the samsaric mind. So therefore, we need to understand this. We need to clarify this. We need to experience this right from the deep down. But we also need to, by understanding this, it's not just enough to kind of have a concept of understanding this. We need to change this habit. We need to transform this habit of running away from everything I don't want, running after everything that I think is nice, and all the time, holding on to things I feel is, and then, pushing away everything that. So that, in order to change this behavior or change this pattern, then this is the practice. I make anything nice, anything good, anything positive, anything wonderful, any experience or anything that I perceive or anything that I see or I feel I have, all nice things, instead of holding on to them, instead of getting attached to them, instead of trying to grasp at them, I give, I let go. First in my mind, even that's why this dedication becomes important. Even I have a positive deed, I have a positive, positive karma. I give it. I say this positive karma is a positive result. So this positive result, I give it to everybody. That's dedication. And anything that is there, that's why it says my body, my possessions, my virtue, everything. To the great beings, enlightened beings, beings in the nirvana, I make it as an offering. To the samsaric beings, those who are suffering, those below me, worse than me, I give them as charity, and I don't hold on to anything. Because actually, I can't hold on to anything. Who is there to hold on to anything? What is it that I can hold on to anything? Nothing remains for a moment. It all passes on, passes on, passes on. So therefore, it's one of my strongest kind of problem is that, something that is nice, I hold on, and then I can't hold on, and then, like my body, for instance. This is my body. It's very, very precious. It should not get old. It should should not get, ugly, that it should not get ill, it should not die. But it does anyway. However much makeup I put on, even if I do operation here and all these things, I can dye my hair, but in a few days again, it comes up, So the best way is to shave it, So at least for 1 or 2 days you cannot see. So anyway, it doesn't work. So therefore, and then because of that, then you have so much fear. Something will happen, this will happen, that will happen, and this will happen, that will happen also anyway. Whether you fear or not, it will happen also. So therefore, the more you fear, the more pain, more suffering. So less you fear, the less suffering. So therefore, the problem. This is an important kind of a practice, like practice of Ju. Practice of Ju is, giving your body to everybody, to the ghosts, the most fearsome ones. You cut your body into pieces, make a feast of it, and make everybody a nice chunk of your own fat. Yeah, it's scary. Sometimes it's scary from the beginning, especially because that's you can't even have a pin sticking somewhere, and then you kind of a little bit pain and pinch. But then it's a training, because Buddha wanted to train people, slowly, step by step, first in the mind, and then slowly. I think I told you this story before, many times. There was this rich man, very rich man in this area where Buddha was teaching. And he used to come to Buddha's teachings, and he liked Buddha's teachings. But he was very stingy. So he didn't want to give anything to anybody. So he went up to Buddha, because once Buddha talked about generosity, and he went to Buddha and said, I like you, I like your teachings and things like that, but this generosity business is not for me. That's totally not for me. I don't give anything. It's just painful to give anything. It doesn't happen. And Buddha said, yeah, but you can train. He says, no, I cannot train. This is not for me. Then Buddha said, but can you give to yourself? He says, yeah, of course, I can give to myself, no problem. Then Buddha said, then do one thing. You go home and you take something in your right hand and give it to your left hand and say, take it. And then again give it to your right hand and say, take it. You just do that. So he was kind of, I think it was a little funny for him. So he went home and took a big lump of gold. He had, I think, lots of them. And then he gave it to his right hand and said, take it. And it was not so easy, to say take it, because he's not used to say take it so much. But he kept on doing it. He said take it and take it. And slowly, he felt like maybe I want to invite Buddha for a lunch. So he invited Buddha for a lunch. Buddha came with all his followers. So it was a big lunch, I think. But he was happy he could give this lunch to Buddha and his kind of monks. So he started to give more, and he started to become more and more generous. And then he found joy in this, and slowly found happiness, joy in giving. So, the more he did it, the more he liked it, and he felt happy about it. So he became slowly more and more generous, and then at the end, he became one of the most generous person of that area. And he gave food to all the people who didn't have anything to eat. He made, kind of open kitchens for people who could just come and eat. He made dharamshalas, which means like guest houses for pilgrims who could just, stay a few days and then pass on. He made hospitals. He made even hospitals for the animals. All sorts of things. And he came to be known as Anathapindaka. Anathapindaka means the giver of food to those who have no protector. So this is kind of the method. You kind of so start to too much holding on, too much kind of craving, attachment, and too much fear of losing, things like that. So you start to give, you start to offer, you start to, and if you cannot do it, or you don't have much to offer and much to give, actually, you do it in your mind, because mainly it's about your mind. So therefore, that's where, all these kind of exercises of offering and things like that, this comes from, like mandala offering. The mandala offering is also the exercise of the mind to offer, to give the most nice things. Anything that is nice, wonderful, precious, that you kind of, the most nice things that you really want yourself, you make an offering of in the mind, in your imagination. So when you are able to do it with your imagination, with your mind, then slowly you are able to do it, even if you have. And also this is important to understand, that sometimes people think that I have nothing, so I have no attachment. That's not true. I have nothing doesn't mean I have no attachment. I have nothing, I can be more attached, because I don't have, I want that. So I'm more attached to things I don't have than maybe those that I have. I want a golden shoe. Something like that. Mercedes cars, it's really nice. Isn't it? Yes. So, I may not have a Mercedes car, but I can be attached to Mercedes cars, no? So it's not always that only those I have I'm attached to. I can attach to those I don't have. So this way, here, it's talking about Jew practice. It can kind of talking about mandala offering. It can anything, but the process to let go, to kind of cut this too much aversion and attachment. The noble teacher has the nature of all Buddhas, and of all Buddhas, it is he who is the kindest. Seeing the teacher as inseparable from Shikezi, with fervent devotion, recite the 6-syllable mantra. And also this, offering I can make it to sometimes when we do the Chinese practice, then this is also we make offerings of all different kinds of things to all the anyway, it doesn't matter this, isn't it? Now here the teacher, guru, if you have a kind of generally speaking, Lama, especially the root guru, Tsari Lama, is the one who, there are two ways of looking at this. The real Tsari Lama, the real root guru, is the one who introduces you to your nature of mind. It's not just doing it, not just like I read out the text of introducing the nature of mind, or I just try to explain you something about that. That's not it. That actually, if I succeed, or if you succeed to experience the nature of your mind through the teachings or through whatever teaching or empowerment or whatever way by a great master, then that is your true root guru. And that true root guru, there's no question of having any doubts anymore. There's no question of, is it my root guru or not? Is it good or not? Is good enough or not? That's no question, because you got it. So you got it. So it doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. So therefore, that is the true, real root guru. But that kind of root guru is, to get that kind of root guru, you have to get it. Yeah. So it's not very easy. It doesn't. Then that's another matter. So therefore, if that doesn't happen, then your guru is anybody who is like whoever can generate a genuine understanding or experience, even who can help you to bring a good understanding of the Dharma, or some compassion, generate bodhicitta, and that really has helped you to solve your own problems or understand some practice. That's so good. Like for instance, Atis Dipankara. This is the story of Atis Dipankara. He had many teachers. He was a great scholar. I think he studied Nalanda. He was also in Nalanda as the abbot. Then he was also in Vikramashila, and a very great master. And he received teachings from, I think he said, about 50 great masters and things like that. And then afterwards he went to this Swarnadip, Indonesia, somewhere in Indonesia. And he met a teacher there who taught him about bodhicitta. And that was so good. That teacher completely transformed him. He really got the experience of bodhicitta. And he became really great bodhisattva because of that teachings. So therefore, later on, when he came to Tibet, it is said that when any of his teachers' name was mentioned by anybody. He was very respectful. He always, put his hands together and made salutations to that teacher of him, because he got a lot from them. He learned them from them, so he had great respect from them. But when somebody mentioned the name of his teacher from Indonesia, then he not only put his hands together in his heart, he put his hands together in his head, and he shed tears every time anybody mentioned his name. Because he said, this is my root guru. He is my root guru. Because of him, I could generate this bodhicitta. Whatever bodhicitta or a little bit I had, that is because of this teacher. So therefore, he is my root guru. So therefore, it's not about how many teachings you get, or how many years you spend with him, anything like that. But real benefit you get from these teachings. Like that Dalai Lama is for example. Also, this Kudung Lama, this Kudung Lama Tenzin Gyaltsen. Have you heard about him? Kudung Lama Tenzin Gyaltsen he's not from Ladakh. He's from Kinur, India, and he was just completely ordinary monk. And then he went to Tibet. He traveled everywhere in Tibet. He became very learned. He went to Kham. He went into these areas where I come from also. And then he already was very good in Sanskrit and things like that. So he was very good in Tibetan grammar and Tibetan, vocabulary. He wrote some books also. And then he came back, and he was staying in India, everywhere, just completely like a yogi. He didn't have, he was not completely a monk also. He was just, mendicant. He was just traveling Varanasi, a small room, just, near the Ghat he was staying. And then, when the Tibetan refugees came, so they needed to start this university in Sarnath. So they thought that because people knew that he's good in grammar, so they invited him to teach grammar to, especially Sanskrit grammar, to the Tibetan scholars who were supposed to become teachers for this university. And then he was so good. He was so good. He was so learned that when he was teaching grammar, he not only taught grammar, but everybody was very highly, trained, Buddhist masters. But he was so good that they all got totally, what do you call it? Bowled out. Bowled over? Bowled over. Bowled over. And then Dalai Lama wanted to study from him. And then Dalai Lama studied Bodhicaya Avatara from him. And he even now says, and this, the real Bodhisattva's way of life, he learned from him. He was a great Bodhisattva. So that's like that. So therefore, so if there is, if you have, or if there is, if we are fortunate enough to have that kind of a master or a teacher, then that is much more kind and much more important than any Buddha. If a teacher can really, or through that teacher, if I can understand the nature of my mind, or if I can bring genuine bodhicitta inside me, or really transform me, then, is more than the Buddha. This Buddha cannot do more than that anyway. So therefore, that Lama is inseparable from Shenesi. It's same as Shenesi, because as we discussed before, Shenesi is nothing more than wisdom and compassion. So therefore, it's same Shenesi. So to that Lama, Lama and Shenesi together as one inseparable, I can have devotion. And through devotion, I think we have discussed this many times. Devotion is three things: inspiration, aspiration, certainty. And so these three, because when I think about this kind of teacher or Shenesi or something like that, then it inspires me, and then I want to, fully, what can you say, fully experience that kind of qualities or experience, the aspiration, and then because I understand some experience of it, so there's nothing which can shake that that confidence or certainty. So then it is full devotion. And that devotion is a very important devotion, because that devotion is coming from experience. That devotion is coming from understanding. It's not just blind faith. So therefore, to practice Shenesi also in this way is one of the important practices. So here, like using this as a Guru Yoga practice, you can say if you like, and using the devotion as the practice. It's like that. Then, now it's kind of, this teaching is like this. It's kind of going step by step, deeper and deeper, higher and higher, and eventually more and more complicated. Because he actually, in this small book is everything in Buddhism, from beginning to end, from refuge to Dzogpa Chenpo. Everything is there in this book. Each is one stanza, so it's not long in words, but very, very deep in meaning. Then the 29th, purifying the obscurations, initiating the practice of the path, actualizing the four kayas. The essence of the four empowerments is the teacher's Shenesi. If you recognize your own mind as the teacher, all four empowerments are complete. Receiving innate empowerment by yourself, recite the six-syllable mantra. Now, so we discussed this. One of the main things actually of purification, of one main practice, the main practice, the only thing really to do is purification. Sometimes we call it purification and accumulation because, all the kind of letting go or doing things which makes our negativity or negative things kind of go off or peel off is called purification. And to do that, we also to kind of concentrate or work on, or acquainted with more positive things. So therefore that's kind of accumulation, we call it. But whatever you do, whether accumulation or purification, it's all purification. So the purification, and then all these meditations or working on the path, everything you do on the to work on our path, to work on ourselves is actually a way of purification. And when we are purified, then we have actualized the four kayas. Actualized four kayas means that we have become a Buddha. Four kayas is just a name, just a description of that state of pure mind, a pure understanding and experience of yourself, or complete understanding and experience of yourself. That you call pure kaya, because four kayas, because that's how you can describe it. And it's difficult to describe that experience, as Bernard has explained. Difficult to explain. And that the process of actualizing the four kayas is through getting or receiving the four empowerments. Four empowerments in the Vajrayana terms. In Vajrayana terms, we call it vast empowerment, and then secret empowerment. What is it called? Wisdom empowerment, and shira, or words empowerment, or something like that. Doesn't matter about these things. We are not going into the details. Now these four empowerments are actually, is an introduction to nature of yourself. That your body, your speech, your mind, and your whole totality is naturally pure. It's naturally there's nothing impure there. To deeply, experientially understand that there is nothing wrong with this in its nature. Only our perception is wrong. When you have that experience of understanding, then you have received the four empowerments. The essence of the empowerment of, vast empowerment, we call it. Vast is usually the container. The container. Vase is something that you put things in, the water. So that represents the body. Our body is what contains our mind, our experience, and things like that. So vast empowerment is the empowerment of our body. So when we understand that our body is is emptiness and appearance. Not only our body, but everything that we see is like that. It's emptiness and appearance. It's interdependently arising. It's independently arising. It is a relative thing. There's nothing, nothing solid. Everything is changing, everything is moving, everything, there's nothing there which is not really, there's no one thing there which exists totally on its own. So therefore, what is impure there? There's nothing called impure. Impure is a concept, and pure is also a concept. So there's pure and impure is just a concept. There's nothing pure and impure. So therefore, it's all perfect. So when that kind of understanding and experience happens, then you have understood the pure, the mandala, the experience of mandala, because everything is okay, there's nothing wrong, everything is pure. If it is dirty, it's also pure. If it is clean, it's also pure. It's, it's crazy, it's also pure. There's nothing, in essence, there's nothing called impurity. So when that kind of understanding happens, then there's nothing called bad, there's nothing called wrong, there's nothing called negative. So the positive, negative, you go beyond positive, negative, because the positive and negative is actually a concept. There's nothing there on its own, on the subject, on the object. It's a subjective thing. And then that subjective thing is a designation. So therefore, it's just in an ultimate nature, it's like that. So when I understand that everything, my body, including everything that is, form, my speech, including all the concepts, my mind, including all the experiences, and everything, together. It's not in separate. They are all not separately, but everything is like that. When I understand this, then everything is the mandala of a deity. Sharisik. Whatever you call it, doesn't matter. You can call it mandala of Sharisik, you can call it mandala of Kalachakra, you can call it mandala of Buddha, you can call it nothing. Doesn't matter whatever you call it, but it's nothing wrong with it. So everything is pure right from the beginning. When that experience happened, then you have received the all impermanence. And when that happens, who has given that impermanence? Yourself. Your own mind, your own wisdom mind, your own, your own, you call it wisdom mind, you call it Ripa, you call it Dhammakaya, whatever you call it, because that clarity of our mind has the nature of wisdom, so therefore it has the capacity to see the things that they are. So therefore, you see it. Actually, we can learn because we have the capacity to learn. If we didn't have the capacity to learn, if we didn't have wisdom, we will never ever learn anything. No? So the best teacher, the ultimate teacher is ourselves. The teacher is just a symbolic. Teacher is just a kind of, what can you say, a medium, a pointer. Because the teacher cannot do more than pointing your finger to the moon. We say pointing the finger to the moon. That's good analogy, because when I point you to look, there is the moon. Yeah. So, oh, where is the moon? My finger doesn't go beyond this point. Yeah. So my finger is not pointing to the moon at all. My finger is only pointing to, I don't know, even there, not that much, only here. Yeah? Now if you are, just looking at my finger, you will never see the moon. Yeah? You will never ever see the moon. But you have the wisdom to go beyond my finger. And then I just show the direction, and then you go up and not look at the finger, but totally different direction. Totally different direction, and then you see the moon. So, did I show you the moon? I can't show you the moon. I can only point only to the, maybe if I look at the moon, maybe that's how most probably you don't look at my finger, but at my eyes, maybe. Yeah? Most probably. That's exactly what we were talking about, not the words, but the experience. So then you look, you see the moon, and that's because you have the capacity to go beyond that symbol of my finger. So therefore, unless we have that, we cannot show moon to, I don't know, can we show a moon to a pig or a cat or a dog, or I don't know. It's very difficult. Maybe if you look, maybe they'll look. Yeah? But with my finger, maybe we cannot show them. So that's why your own mind, is your true Lama and true teacher. And therefore, when you understand that, then you have received the four empowerments. And when that happens, receiving that innate empowerment by yourself, recite the six syllable mantra. So it's not outside, it's inside. Transformation is inside. The wisdom is also inside. The teacher is also inside. So therefore, you can recite six syllable mantra. You don't need to maybe you don't need to recite six syllable mantra also, but you can do it also. There's nothing wrong with that. Then, samsara is nothing other than how things appear to you. If you recognize everything as the deity, the good of others is consummated. Seeing the purity of everything confers the four empowerments on all beings at once. Dredging the death of samsara, recite the six syllable mantra. Now, in this way, you receive yourself the empowerments, and you empower yourself, and you kind of bring the experience of, four kayas or enlightenment or Buddhahood in yourself while reciting the six syllable mantra. But also, helping others. Also has to be through yourself. Here it says, samsara is nothing other than how things appear to you. Whether you are, the samsaric state of mind, or whether you are in samsara or nirvana, is because samsara is not a place. Sometimes people misunderstand and say we are now in samsara, meaning that we are in this world. This world is not the samsara. If this world was in samsara, then Buddha was also in samsara, because he was in this world. And not only in this world, but in Bodh Gaya, in Bihar. So he was the bottom of the samsara. So the world is not the samsara. Samsara is therefore, a state of mind, how you see it. So samsara is nothing other than how things appear to you, how it appears to you, how you see it. That's where the samsara is. If you see it in a kind of a dualistic way, with all this, aversion, attachment, tension, and then, all this kind of fear and craving and, all kind of negative emotions and things like that, then it's samsara. But the same thing, if you can see it in a different way, then if you recognize everything as the deity, the good of others is consummated. When you have the wisdom to change your perception, the way of seeing it and the things, the way of looking at yourself first, the way I see myself, and thereby the way I relate to everything else, then, you find a totally different experience of, not always running after and running away from things, but in everything you find peace, you find joy, you find positive, you find purity. Then everything is deity, everything is mandala. When that experience happens to you, then, I don't need to clean everything to make everything pure. Everything is pure for me. And when that happens, when really that can happen, then I am empowering everybody. I am empowering everything. I am kind of giving the empowerment to all, for the whole world. And, then I have also the possibility to transform not only myself and my way of seeing things, but transform others also. The power to help others to transform themselves can only come if I am myself, transformed and have a different way of experiencing things. So, when that kind of experience, this is very high experience, very deep experience, very highly realized experience comes, then it is also possible that you can help to, dredging, I don't know what dredging, but here Tongtuk means the kind of completely upheaval, to disturb and kind of put upside down the death of samsara. The samsara is kind of shaken. Samsara is, you have the kind of destroying the samsara. And the understanding is, therefore, that if somebody, if I have, or if a great being has that kind of experience and that kind of realization, and then somehow I make a very strong, clear connection with that person, very strong connection with that person, then it is possible that I can be very strongly influenced and helped by that person. So therefore, we say that that this, I think, has to be understood from Buddhist perspective. Maybe sometimes people get a little bit confused by this. Sometimes we say, Buddha said that I cannot get rid of people's negativity. I cannot wash their problems by my water. I cannot put all my experience of wisdom and compassion in them. I cannot only show them the way. I can only help them. Sometimes we talk about the blessings. So the blessings is a little bit like, now this is important to understand. I think from Buddhist point of view, everything is interdependent. Everything is because of many causes and conditions. And karma is also many causes and conditions. So when all the causes and conditions come together, then it happens. Even, kind of seemingly impossible things happen. The flowers grow. It's very strange, the flower grow out of the very beautiful, colorful thing come out of this mud, which is just. But when there is all the causes and conditions there, then it just happens. So in the same way, when there is devotion, when there is a karmic connection, when there is my mind is open, and I make a connection with the great masters in one way or another, then that kind of it's me who is doing it partly, but that also helps in many ways too. So that blessing and all these things also can happen, but not just like sometimes in Hindi films there are lots of these things. Somebody goes to the God or Shiva or something like that, Durga or something like that, and then says, why are you not doing it? If you don't do this, I will not eat food. I will never make any offerings to you. And then the God a little bit scares. Yes, now he's not going to make any more offerings to me. I must make my blessings. Other than that, he was not going to make it because I think from Buddhist point of view, that kind of thing is not there. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, there's no time when they are not trying to help. It's not like unless you pray, they are not helping. They are not ready to bless you. It's not like that. Whether you pray, you don't pray, you do good things, you do bad things, whatever, they want to, they want to help all the time. And there's nothing like, if I do this bad thing, Buddha will be unhappy with me. Buddha is never unhappy with anybody or anything like that, however bad you do. He's never, Buddha, if Buddha is unhappy because you are doing bad thing, or is not unhappy is another word. Buddha is upset with you because you are doing bad thing, then Buddha is not very compassionate. That concept is not there in Buddhism. So it's not about the Buddha being not very nice to you or wanting to punish you or anything like this. Never, that concept is not there. The concept is that if I do bad things, then I create my own, problem. So therefore, even if Buddha is trying his best, all the Buddhas and all the, they can't help me because I make myself, kind of. They say, please come and come here and come here. So you don't want to come there. You just lock up your doors and you stay in your room. Close all your doors and windows and like that. Sometimes we do like that. No, that's the understanding. So therefore, if you open your door and want to come out and approach, then it's always there, and there's this possibility of helping also sometimes. Maybe. Maybe that's what I should not say it. So that's the idea, So, so therefore, that's why it says that once you have the wisdom, you have the compassion, you have the, you have the power. You have the power to transform. But when you have the power to transform, doesn't mean that you can transform everything. This is the general understanding. Like sun has the power to get rid of darkness. We cannot say that sun doesn't have the power to get rid of darkness. It has the power to darkness. But does it get rid of all darknesses? No, because if we choose to close all our windows and doors and put all our shutters down and then nobody can clear the darkness in our homes. So that's a little bit similar. The mind cannot cope with all the many visualization practices. To meditate on one Sugata is to meditate on them all. Whatever appearances are the form of the great compassionate one. In the realm of the deity's body, apparent yet void, recite the six-syllable mantra. Now this is about the creation practice. Now after talking about the refuge, bodhicitta, purification, receiving empowerments, and then talking about the actual Vajrayana practice of creation. The creation, the Vajrayana practice, a speciality of Vajrayana meditation is what we call creation and completion. So the creation is a method, is a very important thing. It's a meditation. It sometimes is included in the shamatha meditation. If you want to categorize all meditation, then we can categorize all Buddhist meditation into two things: samatha and vipassana. There is no meditation in Buddhism which do not or cannot be categorized into either of these, samatha and vipassana. Samatha meditation is mainly to make our mind calm and clear, to tame our mind, to make our mind tamed, flexible, and when you say tamed, it's more like trained. you know, like a dog, a very nicely trained dog, for instance. You know. So then you say, come, and it comes. Yeah? Sit down, you sit down. Stand up, stand up. Go there, go there. Yeah? That's a tamed one, huh? That's trained. Now our mind is not like that. Our mind is, do something, don't do it. Yeah. Sit down, stand up. Yeah. Want to do everything opposite way. Yeah? Don't sit here, sit there. So then it's not very good. So we want to make it not like that. You know, we want to make our mind, you know, like a good dog. That it does what we want them to do, you know, so that it becomes flexible, it becomes nice, it becomes, you know, yeah, it's good. So to do that is the shamatha meditation. You know, because how to do that? It's not easy. Just by beating them also you cannot do that. You know, just letting them do whatever also you can't do that. You have to create. You know, you have to do it a little bit disciplined, little bit skillfully. You know, you have to train it. You know, so as you train the dog, you train your mind. You know? As you train the horse, you know, you call it what? What do you call it?
Breaking.
Breaking the horse. So you break your mind. So that's the shamatha meditation, to make your mind like that. And then when your mind becomes like that, very trained and you know, flexible and you know, and kind of under-disciplined, you can call it discipline. Then the next meditation comes, the second meditation comes, which also is very much helping. This meditation is helping the other. That you are able to really see things clearly and see what it is. You know, what are you? We talked about this in the beginning. What's the nature of you? Who are you? What you are actually. Seeing this clearly, completely, you know. So that's the vipassana. Vipassana means seeing clearly, seeing all. So you're not only having the wisdom of what you are. So that's the vipassana. So the creation is a kind of part of the shamatha, because it's training your mind. But now here, sometimes the shamatha meditation can be of many different kinds. And sometimes it can be just like, you know, being aware. Like sitting down and then watching your breathing, for instance. Because, you know, you want to calm it down and not too much kind of disturbing it, not too much letting it be distracted, being aware, but, you know, very slowly, very gently, you know, a little bit aware, you know, and you kind of, when it goes away, you come back to your breathing, and so just being aware and relaxing. And through that, slowly, your mind gets, you know, a little bit calm and trained and, you know, kind of supple. Now here, instead of doing it just like a breathing or some other ways, you are trying to kill two birds with one stick. So you train your mind, but you also train it to kind of focus positive, kind of think or feel positive, compassionate, wise, enlightened, trained to do that. That's why the visualization of a deity happens. You start to. That's why we say that the Vajrayana method is to use the result as the path. Using the result as the path. So what do you mean by using the result as the path? Means like, what is the result? What you want? The Buddha. Fully compassionate, fully wise, fully all positive energies, completely joyful, happy, free from any sufferings, things like that, any negativity. That's the Buddha. Now, using that as the path, meaning that now at this moment, I don't have that experience of a Buddha. But at least I can imagine, I can think in my imagination, what would a Buddha look like? Very nice, smiling, very peaceful, very kind, and compassionate to everybody, and very clear, the mind very clear, having no selfishness, no anger, no tension, no fear, no anxiety, but very wise and completely, seeing everything completely clearly and things like that. And then lots of positive energy, lots of transforming positive energy, healing energy. Yeah. So you can imagine Buddha something like that. So now how I train to become like that. So I try to put myself in that shoe, in that body. Like, I think this is something we do all the time, actually. I think if you want to become, I don't know what, if you want to become a doctor, for instance. So, before you become a doctor, you have to have an image of yourself as a doctor. No. When I became a doctor, I put this white coat. I put this thing, what do you call that? On my thing. And then I kind of walk in the corridors like this, and putting some of this, pearls like this, and putting some injections. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I have to have that, I have to see myself a little bit like that, no? So if you want to become, you want to become like a Navy or something like that. Also you want to see yourself like, with the hat and paint, So whatever, so that's the kind of the theory, So you kind of have you don't know everything, but you have an idea about that. The more idea you have, the better it is. So you put yourself in that. And that, make that as a way of training your mind. So instead of, watching your breath, put that experience or the awareness of Shalizik, and then remain in that with wisdom, compassion, joyful experience of being, and relax in that mind. And then when it goes away, and started to become, I don't know, junkie or something like that, then bring it back. No, not junkie now, later on, or something like that. So therefore, then with that, you kind of you develop the experience of being the Shadasik or the Buddha, which actually you understand as your natural state. So you allow your natural wisdom and compassion to blossom, to come out by allowing yourself to be that, to feel that. Not by saying, I'm not Shadasik, how can I be Shadasik? I'm not Buddha, how can I be Buddha? Don't tell me like that, I'm not Buddha. Because that's the idea from Buddhist way of saying, you are, but you don't know you are. It's like this story of what? Story of the swan in the chickens. You have this story. Chicken, ugly duckling. Yeah. Ugly duckling. There's this the egg laid in the chicken's nesting. Yeah. So that duck. That was a duck or a swan?
It was a swan. It was a swan.
Swan.
The swan's egg.
Oh, it's a swan and duck.
With the duck's egg.
Okay. Anyway, whatever. Thought that she was, or he was, she was, doesn't matter, but it was a ugly duckling, yeah? It was very bad duckling. And then even somebody told that you are a swan, I didn't want to listen to it. No, I'm not a swan, how can I be a swan? I'm just an ugly duckling. And then at last, they forced them to go to near the water and then look down, and then he had the shock of the life. How can it be? This is not me. So it's a little bit something like that, So, so therefore, so that's the practice. Practice is to bring out. It's not that I'm becoming something totally different person. It's not like that. But what I am, what I think I am, now, you think, I am, is just another identification. Another identification. And this identification is not even, most of the time, that you found. It's given to you. Yeah? You are Irish. Oh, am I Irish? Yes, I'm Irish. Okay, I'm Irish. You are, Catholic. Okay, am I Catholic? Yes, I'm Catholic. Okay, I'm Buddhist Catholic. Then, you are so and so. Okay, I'm so and so. You are a good boy. Okay, I'm a good boy. You are a bad boy. Oh, I'm a bad boy. Yes. A little bit like that, no? Yeah. So every identification we have received, mostly is somebody gave it to you. And then you took it, like lying down. Yeah? I'm that? Yeah, I'm that. Yeah. So if somebody says you are good, I say, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, very good. And then somebody says, you are very bad. Oh, I'm a bad. You get, we are so kind of, so fickle. Yeah? If somebody says one nice thing and write down in the newspaper, you become so happy and so kind of puffed up, In the newspaper, somebody said good things about it. It doesn't become any better, you just, And then somebody says a little bad thing about you, and you become so completely I know much more about myself than anybody else, no? So why I should be so much, so this is, we are so much kind of, what can you say? We are so unsure about ourselves. We completely give all the authority of who we are and what we are to others. And then say, what are they saying? And then, of course, they say all sorts of things, if he is in bad mood, he say, I'm not good. And then I don't think that, oh, he's in bad mood, that's why he's saying this. I think, oh yes, I'm really bad. People are thinking I'm very bad, I'm very bad, I'm very bad. I must jump into the river or something. Yes, some people do, It's really, so therefore, I don't need to, I don't, I have so many identities. And we are, we identify with so many, sometimes, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but like football clubs. I am that, I die for them, And these football people, they don't even know you. They don't even know you, but you can die for them. It's not crazy. That's, I kind of identification. Identification is so difficult, actually, And everybody's, our identification, we must. What identification we must? So, therefore, there's nothing, no identification, all just designated. All designated, all imposed, all given. And I have many identifications. Each one of us has many identifications. So why not give a better identification also, and which can come from really the depth of our experience, pure identification, positive identification, pure identification. And so we all become Sharisik and Dana. We can call it different names, but it doesn't matter. So that's the, that's what he's saying. There are many, there are many in Buddhist, Vajrayana, there are so many different deities also. They want to give lots of identifications. There is kind of Sharisik practice. Even the Sharisik practice, there is hundreds of Sharisik practices. Sharisik with 1, 2 hands, with 4 hands, with 6 hands, with 8 hands, with 12 hands, with 1 head, with 4 heads, with 3 heads, with 11 heads, with 1,000 arms, with white, and red, and blue, and green, and whatever, and all sorts of things, and then all other things, It doesn't matter. It's just a play actually in a way. It doesn't matter. But the essence is that actually I think this is also why it is like that. Why it's like that is not like I am Sharisik with 4 hands. That's a little bit strange, huh? I think this is, this is to show, to understand that, anything is possible. It's not, there's nothing, no fixatedness. I need to go out of my, my limitedness. If I can have 2 hands, why not 4 hands? Why not 1,000 hands? Why not? Or I don't need it also, I can do it 2 hands also. Or something like that. So therefore, and then there are also lots of different practices in Buddhism with 100, deities, 700 deities, all sorts of things, even in one mandala. If you want to be very complicated, I think they are for the Indians. Indians have a very complicated mind. Very complicated mind. They are very good in computer, therefore. Yeah? Indians are very good in computer, because that's the kind of mind they have. They're very complicated, and very sharp, and very clear. But sometimes not so practical. So there are many different kind of sharing. The mind cannot cope with all many visualizations there, but mind cannot cope. Our mind may be not able to cope with all different kind of things, and it's not necessarily that the more complicated the better. It's not like that. Just by meditating on one, that's enough. One with wisdom and compassion. And then the main essence is that what appears to me is that everything that I see is pure, because it's not because it is free from dirt, or free from unnice things, but because its nature is emptiness in appearance. So therefore, there's everything is, there's nothing intrinsic kind of. There's nothing. It's all kind of like rainbow. It's nothing on its own. Nothing existing independently. So therefore, everything is appearance and emptiness. So therefore, everything is pure. So therefore, everything is, I can see as the mandala, as deity. Everybody is also in every deity. And within that understanding, what it says is, in the name of deity body, apparent yet void, or appearance yet emptiness. My body is there, but it's also is relatively there. So therefore, it's emptiness. It's just a designation. It's just dependently there. There's nothing there in it which is, kind of. There's nothing in my body which is totally independent. Even my cells are there dependently, and even the smallest particles is also dependently there. So therefore, actually, there's nothing which is totally. So it's emptiness. Emptiness, but that doesn't mean that it disappears. It's not. The appearance is emptiness. How? If there was no, if that interdependence or dependently arising or is not there, then it would be either always there or always not there. You can't have, you cannot have sometimes there, sometimes not there, sometimes changing. But this is, it appears when all the causes are there, and it disappears, the causes are not there, and anything can happen, anything can change, and different kind of things happen. That's why it's like that. So that's the sanity. That's the pure nature of the phenomena. So I allow my mind to relax in that. There's nothing impure. There's nothing I need to kind of run away from. I need to fear. Things change. That's also changing from one strategy to another. There's nothing wrong. So seeing that way is, and allowing my mind to relax in that. So when I kind of shamatha meditation here, the meditation is that I let my mind kind of relax in that experience of an enlightened me. I feel the compassion, I feel the wisdom, I feel the freedom from all this, my baggage of the past, because now, you know, all this history of Ringu Tulku is Ringu Tulku's past. Yeah. And that's associated. In my Ringu Tulkus also, the past is, you know, Ringu Tulku, me, which was, you know, 5-year-old, is not the same. It's not the same. At 5-year-old, I was just this much. I don't know how much, but little broad, but a little short. I was a little bit looking like that, square. A big head. And then, you know, at 8, 9, there's some photographs of me. Nice. Nice looking little boy. I like it. Then it became worse and worse and worse. Like everybody does, I think, more or less. So you would not recognize me. You know? When I was 8 years photo, and when you look now, I have to tell you, this is me. And still you would, yeah, yeah, there's some resemblance with your ear. Something like that. Otherwise, nothing, yeah. So, but I think, yes, I am that. You know, if you don't recognize, then I'll be very upset. So, it's actually, it's not really, it's not same. It's totally different. The body is different, the mind is different, you know, very different. But everything happened to that Ringu Tulku, I feel it's happened to me. So I actually carry all the, you know, baggage of that experience on me. And that's the karma, you know, that's the karma. But, you know, it's not necessary. It's not completely necessary because that time is gone. It's not there anymore. It's just something totally different. Only thing is there is a continuum. That's it. So therefore, you know, but there is this positive continuum also, which is not very, you know, is not very apparent. But so therefore, you know, so I allow myself to feel that, and when I do that, then I'm exercising, I'm training myself to experience, not in an intellectual way, but experientially. You know, when I see myself as Shenesi, I feel myself as Shenesi, I, you know, act myself as Shenesi, then what I'm actually doing is exercising, you know, my wisdom, compassion, all the things that I associate with that. So therefore, I'm not only kind of allowing my mind to calm down and relax, but also, you know, working on my habitual tendencies, tasking on my habitual tendencies. And that is supposed to be the most important training, specialty in Vajrayana practices, that working on habitual tendencies, like identification. This I will go through and then I will stop here. Recitations, sadhanas and powerful spells are just complications. The all-inclusive 6-syllable mantra is the very sound of the Dhamma. All sounds have never been other than the speech of sublime Shenesi. Recognizing them as mantra, resounding yet void, beside the 6-syllable mantra. So also there are many different, different mantras, some very long mantras, some complicated mantras and things like that. But it's all same. It's just the real essence is that all sounds and all concepts, are resounding but emptiness in its nature. So when I experience that, when I understand that, that's the essence or the secret of the mantra. So therefore, when I recite the mantra of Amari Bime Hum, the 6 syllables, then as the speech or as the sound of that, like enlightened sound, then I'm purifying my speech. That's the mantra. So I think I stop here. This is 32, and we need another year to finish this. But it's okay. So I'll stop here, and if you have any questions or anything like that. Not part time. I've been talking too much. Anyway. Okay. Yeah.
You spoke a bit about the creation stage there, but you didn't say anything about the completion stage.
No.
Could you say a small bit about that now?
That's a long way. It's very long. The completion stage is the more important part. And the completion stage is about like Mahamudra, Dzogchen, 6 yogas, all this the completion stage. The view is also completion stage. Yeah? I spoke a little bit about the completion stage actually. When we talk about the nature of the mind, that's the completion stage. Yeah. The way things really are, that's the completion stage. So it has to go together. So like when you are visualizing yourself as the Shenenzik, you are visualizing yourself as Shenenzik because you understand that there is, you are not just, there is in yourself that nature, the wisdom nature, that you are not something solid, Ringu Tulku, but, that's all identification. So therefore, inside the main nature of the mind, as we have discussed, how the, how our samsaric state of mind comes, and when we realize that that is not the way, that's only one way of looking the samsaric mind. And so when we free ourselves from that, that's the enlightened state of mind. That's the that's the great completion stage. So because of that, then we can actually be enlightened. We can actually have the experience of enlightenment, and that enlightened experience we can exercise now. We can exercise the experience of enlightened mind because actually that's our natural state. Samsaric state is a little bit diluted state, misunderstood state of mind. So when we can experience the samsaric state of mind and samsaric state of appearance and samsaric state of identification, then we can also have the other pure way of reaction and identification. That's why this is like that.
Rinpoche, I hope you don't mind me asking, you were speaking about practices of purification, and on practices of impermanence and making offerings to reduce the suffering of others and yourself. In that context, can you help me understand the immolation of the Tibetan monks? That's the Tibetan monks that have been burning themselves in the Chinese occupation. Can you say something about that? Because I find it very difficult to understand or to grasp.
And that's a protest.
Yes.
That's not. I don't know. I don't think that's a Buddhist practice. That's a protest, and that's not the Buddhist monks come forward. In Buddhist countries, I think most Buddhist countries, I think it's like that. But especially also in Tibet, because there are also many monks, and also they think that if something dangerous has to be done, they better do it, because other people, they have families and they have children and they have many dependents. So the monks, they said that we are like a single incense. If you put it on, it's a single. You light it down, it's single. You can burn anyway. You can burn like this, or you can burn like that. So maybe that example doesn't click with you, maybe, but meaning that there's nothing, you're alone. Yeah. So if you die, no problem. That's the kind of. Therefore, they always go forward. And I saw this is quite strong. This kind of mentality is very strong, because I saw it even when they had this Yushu, the earthquake. There was one incident when they were trying to get. There was a young child, kind of girl, under the rubbles, and then they kind of found her now, but she cannot move, and then somebody has to go in a little bit inside, quite a lot, and then try to get her, and very dangerous. So her uncle was there, a man, and he was about to go in. And there was a monk who was saying, no, you don't go, I go. And he was telling him that I am just a monk, and nobody to kind of no, what can you say, no dependence. So I came here to help, and if I die in this process, I have no problem. So you don't go. And he went. He went in, and then he brought it back. Nobody died. But that is very, very strong. I heard recently also there was in somewhere in Tango or something like that. There were two one a family. There was one man. He had and his sister, and they had a mother, and then maybe a child of this boy. And then they had lots of problems there, and then they wanted to, there were prostrations and protesting going on. And then this man was thinking that now maybe I should go, I should go, and but then what to do with my mother and things like that. And then he had a sister who was a nun. So I think she knew about this situation. So she, the next morning, they found her gone, and with the letters written saying that I am a nun, I have nothing to, so I'm going to do the prostration, please don't worry about me. Like that. So that's why most monks and nuns take part in these things. But that's not because only monks and nuns are there. The whole family is behind it, but, but there, I think the protest, because, the protests or, the revolt, what can you say? The thing never stopped in Tibet. from the time when we revolted against, my parents revolted against Chinese, the Tibetans never accepted it was under China all the time. It was never, because it wasn't. So they see Chinese as an occupying force. And then they revolted and they fought against, and that's kind of, it's going on, I think. It's continuously going on. And so the government is very, very strong, very oppressive. And so therefore, if somebody goes out and kind of shouts in the street, that's the experience of the past, with the Tibetan flag, with Dalai Lama's photo or something like that, then very often, most of the time, they get caught, they get arrested, and most of the time they are tortured. And many times they just disappear, they don't come out. They just, somehow, sometimes don't know what happened. Sometimes, with lots of, kind of difficulties and tortures, they die in some, labor camp or, prison or something like that. And even those who come out with very bad health, so much, so they don't live very long. They live at maximum few years and then they die. Many like that. So I think this is my idea. I don't know, maybe it's correct, maybe it's not correct. But I think that they feel that, it's better if they need to, if they want to make a protest, maybe die in the process. Because it's much better than die in a slow, tortured way than die quick kind of way. I think that is why. And also, if you just go around with a, with a kind of slogan or shouting, then nobody knows about it anyway. And, it's kind of, it's just kind of totally lost. And you suffer, but it's not. So if you die and immolate, which is, kind of like a very, fearful way of dying, very painful, but, then people kind of notice a little bit, and sometimes it gets out of the country. So maybe that's why that, if you have to die, then you die more dramatically than, in a long kind of sustaining torture. I think that's one reason. That could be one reason, because I've heard that how they do it is like they drink petrol or collusion, whatever. They drink a lot, and then they put lots of kind of things like cotton and things like that, and then bind them on it, and bind also, I heard, barbed wires, so that, the army cannot catch them, and then put fire, so that, they make sure that they die. So, I think it is one reason could be like that. So, but then this is, I think it's, they want to be, I think this is the effect of Dalai Lama's consistent kind of appeal for being non-violent. Like, Tibetans are not necessarily always non-violent, during my time, not my time, but my parents' time, they fought with guns, my father, I think, killed some Chinese army. He was a good shot. My uncle said he tried his best but didn't kill anybody because he couldn't shoot straight. But we also had the same kind of mentality, They were saying like this, it's not possible that we can defeat the Chinese army, the communist army. Most probably we will all be killed in one spot. But it is okay. We will go anyway. That was the mentality. And with that mentality we came. So most people also died in the process, but some of us somehow got through. So it's the same mentality is there, same kind of mentality. It's not very much changed actually, the mentality. I was so surprised when I went back. Mentality is so much same, nothing very much changed. They still have very strong devotion to the lamas. They still, carry babies when they are born like 2 days old and want to make them monks. They still, not even, I was a little bit upset with them. They make this house. They have, everybody has this 2-story house. The lowest, the ground floor is for for cattle and, and to put the, cattle and some kind of grass and things like that. And then the first floor is for them to stay. But there's no stair. Nobody has a stair. They just have one small, this much of wooden pole, not flat, no nothing, just a wooden pole like this, put just little things, and it's like this turning, just one, not two even. How can not get them two poles? When they can make 2-story house with windows and doors and everything, can't they find 2 poles? They don't have 2 poles, they're just 1 pole. And then we have to climb up with that and climb down with that. And when they asked me to come, I was much younger at that time. I need 3 people pushing me. Every time I go, it's impossible. And then everybody has done the same roofing as they did before. They put mud on it, and there is no roof which is not leaking. Every roof is leaking. And I told them, why not put a tin sheet? He says, that look like a Chinese. They don't want to. They don't even want to have these tiles, because it looks like a Chinese village. Really, totally, this old kind of, same kind of mentality. Then I said, we must do something about this roof, some kind of, in West you have all this. So next time I go, I must do something. But I couldn't go there, and I can do it there. But then I have recently I have some nice Chinese lady who can speak good English. So I told her, please find some way, there must be some things in China, and then we can change this in the way of roofing, Okay, you don't want the Chinese style and tin roof, that's okay, but, it can't always, and also the same way with my school, we have a school, and every year you need, you need to do something on the roof and spend lots of money because it's leaking. Like that, so yeah. Okay then.
Sunandi Tanji Jivani Toni Nirvana Maji Chigana Jivala Jubayi Shibe Sode Towa Towa Shu.
Thank you so much for the community here, for teaching.
Thank you.
Our treasurer of the Enlightened. Really enjoyed teaching so far. hoping to hear more next year.
Thank you.